Greetings, brothers and sisters. I'd like to share my essay with you. In Nazi Germany, capos were Jewish prisoners in Nazi concentration camps who worked as supervisors and monitors of other Jewish prisoners. It is important to note that those chosen to be capos were not selected from the Jewish social, religious, or scientific population. The capos of choice were chosen from the prison population, preferably violent criminals and gang members. Why is this significant today? Well, it's much easier to get the lowest, most diabolical persons in a society to execute heinous orders against their own people than it is to get those who have not proven to be low-minded and diabolical to execute heinous orders against their own people. In other words, Jews who had proven themselves to be beastly would not have much reservation executing orders to harm fellow Jews, even if those orders came from their oppressor. My purpose for explaining this is to address a very urgent situation we are facing here in America. Replace the diabolical Nazi SS with those visible and even shadowy forces who control today's entertainment industry, and replace capos with black entertainers. Of course, I am not referring to all black entertainers. Yet there are enough black entertainers spreading self-destruction that this matter warrants great consideration. During the Holocaust, humanity was stripped from Jewish prisoners. On the other hand, capos were rewarded with food, alcohol, regular clothes, and cigarettes for carrying out the diabolical duties of the Nazi SS. Similarly, the reward to black entertainers for carrying out their destructive duties is fame and fortune. Just like certain Jews were chosen to be capos for their propensity for destruction of their own people, some black entertainers are chosen for their propensity to spread destructive messages throughout the black community. Though they endured brutal, subhuman conditions and treatment, Jewish prisoners had one distinct advantage over the impressionable masses in today's black community. At the very least, Jewish prisoners knew that the capos were traitors, operating out of their own selfish interests, whose duty was to keep them, the Jewish prisoners, under the control of the brutal SS. Regrettably, many in today's black community are blind to the fact that some black entertainers are traitors as well, who are highly paid to keep the black community under the control of diabolical forces. These black entertainers who use their craft to spread violence, misogyny, despicable behavior, sexual depravity, drug use and abuse, among other heinous vices, are so obsessed with material gain that they are blind to the fact they're being used to keep the greater black community in a perpetual state of self-destruction. It is even more disconcerting to know that some black entertainers are actually aware that they are highly paid instruments for the destruction of the black community, but simply do not care. Let's quickly look at why the overwhelming majority of German citizens during the Holocaust were either apathetic toward or wholly supported the mass extermination of Jews. And let's see if it correlates with what is happening in America. Once Nazi propaganda was able to convince Germans that Jews were essentially the cause of all of their problems, it wasn't difficult for the Nazis to gain support from the German masses for the extermination of Jews. Now, listen very carefully, brothers and sisters. The greater American society shapes its perception of the greater black community from what it sees in news, entertainment, YouTube, Facebook, sports, etc., or what it experiences or witnesses in the black community firsthand. Now, many blacks espouse that the media misrepresents the greater black community. This is true to some degree. However, let's be perfectly honest with one another. Regrettably, the reality of our destructive behavior is prevalent enough for the greater American society to be able to shape its perception of the greater black community, regardless of any media misrepresentation of the black community. Of course, this is not applicable to the entire black community. Brothers and sisters, this is of enormous concern to the black community. Why? Because if the powers that be want to continue or increase destruction of the black community, it may be just as easy for the powers that be to gain the support of the greater American society as it was for the Nazis to gain support of the greater German society. Unlike Nazi Germany, though, the greater American society doesn't have to rely on political propaganda to shape a pretty much, quote, I don't care what happens to black people, end quote, mentality. With technology being what it is today, all the greater American society has to do is observe blacks on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, the NFL, the NBA, MTV, BET, at nightclubs, at Chuck E. Cheese, at Walmart, in parking lots, at family outings, etc. And the great American society will witness blacks exhibiting behavior that it would consider awful enough to warrant having the same thing done to us that the Nazis did to the Jews. Please, please do not misunderstand me. I am certainly not condoning any destructive action against blacks by the powers that be. I am merely pointing out that the rest of the country observes our behavior and may be so sick of it that the rest of the country may support efforts to do to us what was done to the Jews in Nazi Germany. Some may retort, whatever, bruh. Whites can't say anything about us. They are just as destructive as we are. Even if this is true, it is completely immaterial. Just like the behavior of Germans compared to the behavior of Jews in Nazi Germany was completely immaterial to the Nazis' destruction of the Jews. Keep in mind, brothers and sisters, everyone loves, therefore is biased toward their own. Brothers and sisters, if we continue to be starstruck by black entertainment, thereby making it the dominant force in shaping our thoughts, expressions, and actions, we will continue to move further and further down the path of moral decadence and overall self-destruction. Now, please excuse me. Please excuse my language in what I'm about to express. Anyone who refers to women as bitches and hoes is an enemy to all womanhood, particularly black women. Let me say that again. Anyone who refers to women as bitches and hoes, particularly black women, is an enemy to all womanhood. Anyone who promotes or trivializes violence against black men is an enemy to all of black men. To all black men. Brothers and sisters, we cannot allow ourselves to be mesmerized by entertainment, which causes us to look the other way or even defend those who are spreading filth and destruction throughout our community. Our precious youth require more intelligence than this. My life's work is in transforming the conditions that are destroying us. We must aspire for self-improvement first, then spread the harmony that we establish within to our families, friends, loved ones, and communities. And if we should be so fortunate as to gain the opportunity, spread harmony to the global community as well. I leave you with this illuminated message from my master teacher, Dr. David M. Berry. Life can be beautiful once learned how to be lived. Thank you for your time and consideration. Love and harmony, Brother Osiris.